guys, it's Carol. How you doing? What's going on in your world? Uh, this is Toby. Toby, stop. Um, Not much going on here. I live in the Texas Panhandle. This is Thursday. I think it's the 16th. And we had a cold day. We had sleet all day. It's supposed to continue all day long tomorrow and be very, very, very cold. So I got out on my swing for about 5 minutes just to get some fresh air, but the wind chill was like 26, so I came in pretty quick. But not much going on here. I made my pot of King Ranch chicken soup. Oh my gosh, that stuff is so delicious. You can go to Pinterest and Google and find a recipe, but if you want the one I use, just my email's down there in the description. You can email me and I'll give it to you because it is honestly so good. I can't figure out how to make a cooking video since I can't pause this camera. But I'm going to see if I can make the thumbnail a picture of me preparing it, of my chopping up the vegetables or something. But anyway, so not much going on here. I do want to talk about something though. I read in a comment somewhere, somebody said, they were being very nice. They said that I'm not afraid to talk about mental illness, or I don't mind talking about it or something. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a long story, but I'll try to condense it. It takes me a lot of words to say anything. When I was a little girl, I was born in 1954. My dad had come home from World War II, much earlier, and he was mentally ill. I think the war, it's genetic, but I think the war just made it that much worse. And in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, I believe, they didn't have much of a way to treat mental illness, and not like there is now. I believe it was the 90s before they ever really had drugs to really help. But anyway, my dad never had any drugs. He never had any therapy. He was in a mental hospital in New Mexico numerous times. But you would go there and they would keep you like 3 months or 4. It seemed like a long time he would be up there. I guess just getting rest and getting away from all the stresses of life or something. But I know they did electrical shock at one of them because he never wanted that again. But anyway, so I grew up with mental illness, and it was a scary childhood for me. But back then, we didn't talk about unpleasant things. If something unpleasant was going on, you swept that under the rug, and nobody mentioned it. It is a wonder I even know that his diagnosis was schizophrenia. But anyway, then when I was in high school, I started having severe anxiety and horrible panic attacks. But at the time, I didn't know that's what it was. And, we didn't talk about those things, so I didn't tell anybody. There was nobody for me to tell. And I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was weird. Then I got married and had kids. And by the time my third child was born, it was a little boy, the depression was getting really bad. But I still didn't know that was the name of it. I didn't know what was going on with me. And then when my fourth son was born, it got really bad. And I had a suicide plan. I didn't want to die. I wanted to raise these kids. I had things I wanted to do. But when your brain is telling you over and over and over and over again how you should die, that you're worthless and you're taking up air. Hi, Timmy. Hi, Timmy. Yeah, let's show him your pretty face. Timmy and Molly went to the groomer. Toby's going on the 28th, I think it is. But anyway, when you have voices in your head just keep telling you over and over, you start to believe it. The most scared I've ever been of anybody was my own self, when those voices would just be so strong that that's what I should do. And I've been told once you make a suicide plan, you are in big trouble. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't even tell my husband any of this. He had no clue. I didn't talk about it to anybody. And then after I got into my 30s, it was bad. And I just struggled with it every day, but I didn't tell anybody because I didn't, I was still that mindset, you don't talk about things like that. And I didn't really know. But in my 40s, I needed, early 40s, maybe late 30s, I don't know. I needed a hysterectomy. And my depression was really bad at that time. And I thought if I ever said suicide, if I ever mentioned that S word, they would throw me in a hospital like they did my dad and keep me for 4 to 6 months or something. And who was going to take care of my kids? That's what I thought would happen. But I got so really bad, I told my gynecologist, I got a pap smear that was abnormal. And I told her, it's okay. Let's just let nature take its course because I'm suicidal anyway. So just we'll let nature take its course. And she, bless her heart, she didn't realize how serious I was, I guess. And she told me, no, it's your hormones. Once we get this hysterectomy done, and my uterus was full of cysts, but somehow, this is going to sound crazy, but this is what they told me at the time. Your insurance won't pay until the cysts are a certain size. So I had to wait 6 months for them to get to the proper side. Toby, move, baby. Move, baby. This is Toby. This is Molly. Toby's a Schnauzer. Molly's a Poodle Bichon mix. And Timmy is a Yorkie. Anyway. So when I said the suicide word to her and they didn't throw me in the hospital, I thought, I really am not worth anything. They don't even, I said that S word. They don't even want to save me. When you have a mental illness or depression is a mental illness, your thought process is not right. You just get these stupid ideas. But anyway, she kept telling me, once we get this hysterectomy done, you're going to be okay. It's just your hormones are so messed up. So I had my hysterectomy, which is the best thing I ever did for myself. But my depression didn't get better. So I don't remember if I started getting treatment. At where I worked, you could have 3 free visits with a therapist to determine if you need to see a psychiatrist. I did that. I don't remember if it was before my kids or after. Now, I had 4 kids that were teenagers all at the same time, and I was a single mom by then, and everybody told me the teenage years are really rough. And I was thinking, dang, they sure are, because I didn't know that several of my kids were terribly mentally ill. I just thought, man, teenage years are rough. And then what happened is one of them started cutting. And I thought, okay, this is not normal teenager stuff. So I got that child help. And if I hadn't already started in therapy, I did then, started with a psychiatrist. I know I've been under psychiatric care since my early 40s, if not into my 30s. I just don't remember exactly when I started, but I've continually been under the care of a psychiatrist and had a lot of years of therapy. I would still be in therapy if I could afford it. I think therapy is awesome, and medicine is awesome. And anyway, I got on medicine, and I had this one psychiatrist that was a wonderful lady. She told me generics do not work like the real medicine. And so she gave me samples. Finally, there was a period in my life when I was okay. But then she moved away, and I had to go to another doctor who didn't give me samples. I had to be on the generic, and eventually I crashed, and I was in a mental hospital, and I needed to be there. And thank God I was. Anyway, my background is I have known mental illness my entire life from my dad and then me and my kids. But I never talked about it to anybody. But I worked at this place where there was like 50 employees. And this one day, this lady, her name was Anita, It was at work. She was a pleasant person, liked to laugh and joke around, and really nice woman. And one day she went home and hung herself. Everybody at work was shocked. They said because she was laughing. She was acting normal all day. They were just dumbfounded that this happened. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you don't feel like that too? I really did. I thought, don't you have days when you feel like that, but you can be happy at work? You can put that mask on and get through the day, but man, it wears you out, and those voices are so strong. But anyway, when that happened, I thought, dadgum, if I had ever told anybody that I suffered with mental illness, maybe she would have talked to me. Maybe I could have helped her. Maybe I could have told her, you need to do something. And she was also on antidepressants, but she was also on generic, and they don't work as well. They really, honestly don't. But anyway, after she passed away, I decided, you know what? I'm going to tell everybody I have it, so that if anybody needs somebody to talk to, they know, oh, Carol will know what I'm feeling. Because it's crazy to not talk about it. If you have cancer, you talk about it. If you have kidney disease, you talk about it. If you have lupus, MS, anything else, you're not ashamed to talk about it. Well, I did absolutely nothing to cause me to have this other than be born. It's in my genetics, and it's in my children's genetics. And during a period of time when I was very suicidal, a lot of it was because I was so guilty over having children and passing this on to them. That's been a big problem for me, is knowing I brought kids into the world knowing that this was in their genetics. At the time they were born, I didn't really understand, but now I do. And one of my children has said he will never have kids. He won't pass this on to anybody else. But anyway, I thought, this is crazy. I did nothing to cause this to myself. It's an illness. I am not going to, hide it under the rug anymore, because somebody else may need to talk about it. And it's crazy not to talk about it. So that's why, no, I don't mind. I'm not afraid to tell you I have a mental illness. I also have asthma. I also have thyroid problems. I also have irritable bowel syndrome D, which is the worst thing in the world to have. I have migraines. And I suffer with depression. I struggle with depression. So that's why I'm not afraid to talk about it, and I'm not embarrassed. If I had taken illegal drugs and did something to my brain, that would be different. I would be ashamed. If I drank myself till I ruined my liver and affected my brain, I would feel really bad and ashamed. But I've never drank. I've never smoked. I've never had any kind of illegal drug. I did nothing to myself to cause this. It just is. It just is. And thank goodness we do have medicine. I'm on the generic because that's all I can, there's no way on earth I could afford the real deal. So I'm on generics, and that's why, like after 25 years of being on medication, depression overcomes me sometime because I can't afford the good stuff, but I'm grateful for what I've got. But anyway, I don't want this to be a downer video. That's not the point. I just wanted to say, yes, I am not afraid to say I have mental illness, amongst all the other things I have too. It's just one of those deals. And if you want to email me, if you have questions, if you need to say me too or something, my email address is down there in the description. And we can talk about it. It's okay. All right, guys. I'm going to go get my jammies on because it's so cold and go to bed and try to read another book. I read the first book I've read in over a year. I finished, and I mentioned it the other day. And so I'm going to start another one. Part of my depression is I get horrible brain fog. My memory is crazy. And I was an avid reader from the time I was 6. I read constantly. Honestly, if I wasn't at work or if I wasn't in a classroom, I had a book in my hand. And then when I had the horrible, very good, no bad breakdown and was in the hospital, I mean, that was life-changing time. I was really bad. And my cognitive thinking was gone. And I couldn't read because one sentence to the next didn't connect, didn't make sense. And after I got out of the hospital, it was like that for about a year. And then I was able to read. I was really resting and taking care of myself at the time. But then every now and then, it just pops back up. This time to be a year has been the longest time after that first spell. But my psychiatrist told me just read paragraphs, like a magazine, something in a magazine. When you can connect those sentences, just keep reading a little more and get past it. So that's what I've done. And so I'm anxious to read another cozy mystery. If you're reading some book that you think's good and it's not scary, not a thriller, I mean, I can't handle that kind of stuff. But if you're reading a good book, tell me what it is. I might read it too. Okay, this is getting to be awfully long. I'm surprised it's still recording. I'm going to go. Bye, guys. Have a great tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend. And come back and visit with me, okay? All right. I can hardly wait till I have enough subs that I can do a live. I love the people that I watch when they do lives, and and we can talk back and forth. So hopefully I'll get to that point. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you being here with me. Leave me a comment, please. Maybe a thumbs up. All right. Bye.